Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this edition of the Service Impact Podcast, where we help service businesses sift through the noise to better understand the truth about today's marketing and advertising strategies, tactics, and emerging technologies. And on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the difference between brand marketing and performance marketing. And here to discuss it from the mothership at Outside Communications is the Director of Brand and Content, Shellie Chiavetta. Shellie, how are you today?
I am doing great, Lance. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. So I thought that we only needed to worry about marketing, and now you're throwing out brand marketing and performance marketing. Could you please, for the love of God, tell me the difference?
I'm sorry to double your fun with 2 times the marketing now. We're on a roll. All right. Okay. It's not as complicated as you might think. So, brand marketing is basically how your brand is perceived in the marketplace. Are you trustworthy? Are you credible? Are you showing up strong? Performance marketing is more geared toward how many leads are coming in the door for your business on a regular basis. So in a nutshell, that's the difference between brand marketing and performance marketing. And
well, I just want leads, man. I just want leads. Okay, so why would the brand marketing have anything to do with the performance marketing, and if I can just do one?
Very good question. We actually chit-chatted about this in another podcast, but brand is directly correlated to trustworthiness and credibility. And the more you're showing up as a reputable company, the more your brand is showing up as a trustworthy option in the marketplace, the more you look professional, sound professional, and the more customers kind of review your business and say, hey, yep, these guys can get it done, the more leads you're going to get. So while performance marketing is focused on lead generation, brand marketing actually has a lot to do with how customers decide to choose your business. So again, that's a 30,000-foot view. They both are important for getting new customers.
So really, it's still just marketing, so I can be relieved in the fact that it's still just marketing. It's just it's where you focus, and I guess that probably has something to do with how evolved your business is.
Yeah, exactly. So businesses will need to focus on brand marketing versus performance marketing in different ratios at different points in their development. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but I think it's worth teasing out the difference between brand marketing and performance marketing, like in some actual examples to actually showcase what we're talking about when we say that, because it could still be a little bit abstract to think about if they're both getting leads and what is the difference anyway. So for brand marketing, you're really talking about how well you're telling your brand story, how well you are cultivating awareness of your company, your reputation management, and your messaging, how you're talking to people. So for example, maybe there are ads on Facebook and Instagram that aren't necessarily talking about your services, but they're showcasing some aspect of your brand that is cool and interesting. Maybe that's your people. Maybe that's a fun campaign that's a little bit clever, that's a little bit funny. That's in the realm of brand marketing. It also could be like customer success stories or behind the scenes videos. That's another example of brand marketing. Again, it's not like, hey, buy X, Y, or Z, but it's showcasing your product or your service in a different way. It could be sponsoring a local event, hosting a community event of some kind, local sports team, that's all brand marketing. So it's how your brand is showing up for people. Again, not necessarily hinged directly on your services, but showcasing your brand in different ways. Performance marketing is really more about advertising that is designed to convert leads quickly. So, for example, Google PPC ads that are targeting search terms that are important to your business, like emergency HVAC repair near me, right? That's targeted. That's looking for someone who is looking to buy right in that moment, looking to convert them quickly. That could be Facebook ads still, but again, more focusing on service promotions. $159 off X, Y, or Z for a limited time. We're offering this, that, and the other. Or it could be like retargeting ads for website visitors who didn't book previously. So if as they're like hopping around the internet, is your service advertising following them, kind of getting back in front of mind? Again, it's about lead capture and doing it quickly. So you can kind of see like there are two levels of it. Brand marketing is kind of like the long game, and performance marketing is a short game, but you need both. You kind of can't have one without the other. You should always have a mix of the two.
All right. I am a new business, and let's say I'm an industrial service provider that's providing, I don't know. We fix widgets all over the United States and so on and so forth. And we're relatively new. We're good at what we do, but we don't have a lot of the amount of business that we need. Like, what sort of mix are we looking at for a company like this that's kind of out of the gate? They're spending, they've got, let's say, I don't know, 50, 60 grand a year in marketing budget. And I mean, how do you mix this thing up? Because we're pressed on budget. We're pressed on so many things. I mean, where do you, what do you lean into that's going to allow us to grow, but, also just pay our bills like right out of the gate?
Yeah, exactly. It's a great question. I would have the caveat that every business is unique, and you kind of have to look at your individual KPIs, like what does your business need? So these are rules of thumb, but it really does depend on your unique situation and what you need to accomplish and in what time frame. So there's the caveat. But the general rules of thumb are, for a startup or a newer business, you probably want to over-index on performance marketing versus brand marketing. You've got to get business. You've got to your point, pay the bills. We've got to keep the lights on. So we've got to get people in the door. So that is going to be where a lot of focus should be, so that you can basically set yourself up for growth. That's the name of the game for a lot of newer businesses who are just coming into their market. You've got to grow. You've got to get a foundation underneath you. So probably around 70% performance versus 30% brand. Again, you need both. You want to make sure you're looking and sounding good and your messaging is clear, but you really need the leads. So if you're looking for places to make a smart investment, if you're a newer business, generally that's the rule of thumb.
Yeah, and it's interesting though that as we, and we deal with this regularly, it's almost similar to kind of creating a 401k portfolio. It's like what percentage of bonds, what percentage of equities, international stuff. It's finding the right mix. But here's the thing. It's like, if you go all in on the performance marketing or go all in on the equities and you have a downturn or and you don't have the bonds to prop your portfolio up, you may not do great in different periods of time. And in marketing, I guess the parallel to that would be is that, okay, great, you're getting the clicks on your search ads, but your brand isn't in great shape. It doesn't And on the other side of it, you're not converting well. In other words, you're getting the clicks, but your conversion rates are really low, which drives your CPAs up. So, and CPAs, cost per acquisition. If you're not keeping track of that, call us. You need to keep track of that. A really, really important metric to understand what these leads are costing you. But it's kind of a catch-22. I mean, you can't go all in on one and expect. No. And we see both. I mean, you see people go heavy on the performance. You also see people go really heavy on the brand. So how? Yeah, is it the cart? Is it the horse? And interesting. Interesting problem, I guess to have. So, all right, what's next?
Well, I think that you bring up an interesting conundrum about, you can't not invest in both. You have to invest in both. And I think it's important to know, what the pitfalls are if you don't. And you kind of spoke to it, Lance, just now. If you throw all of your weight behind performance marketing, right? So you're throwing all of your weight behind advertising. You're fishing hard for leads. And let's say that strategy is working out for you, but you're coming to a brand platform that doesn't look all that great or is a little bit confusing when you get there, like either how to sign up, how to get a quote. I'm not exactly sure what this service does. I don't exactly know how it's different from what I just saw in another competitor's site. You're going to lose people anyway. So I think the key is to know what mix is right for your business at what point in your journey. So we were just kind of laying out for a newer business. Yeah, you might need to do more performance marketing investment straight out the gate, but do not get started unless you have the fundamentals and the foundations of a solid brand. Do you look professional? Do you sound professional? Are you clear? Is your messaging consistent? Do you have a baseline that people can come to and make it easy to convert, to pick up the phone, to fill out the form, to get a quote? You have to have those baselines. And then as you progress, as businesses get more sophisticated, you can start to even out. And where brand marketing starts to become more important is when you start to become a bigger player in your market. And you now need to differentiate yourself in an entirely different way. So if you're starting out, you're kind of just getting on the map, right? We got to get customers. We got to build loyalty. We've got to get the revenue in the door. But if you're coming into a really crowded space and now you're starting to become a player in your market and you're showing up in the map pack and you're one of 5 options, why are they going to choose you? That's where brand marketing really makes a difference for companies. That's where the differentiation really happens. Why you're a better choice than your closest competitor.
Yeah, and I'm gonna chime in on this. That basically, it's like super difficult to do any of this if you don't have good analytics. In other words, we're assuming here in this conversation that you have decent analytics here, because without understanding your conversion rates and without understanding, how your brand overall is performing, you're really guessing at that point. And so the levers you're talking about adjusting are data driven. It's not just, yes, there's experience that goes into those sort of decisions, but it's data that's driving those needs, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. You need to be able to measure success on all of those fronts. You need to be able to know how many leads are coming in the door. What are your conversion rates? What are those leads costing you? That's another big factor on this. in terms of when we're talking about investment, how much are you paying to get those leads? If your brand isn't strong, you're going to be paying more to get leads because your customers have to work harder to understand why they should choose you. So, but that's where, cost per lead is a really good indicator of how strong your brand is and how good of a job you're doing at showcasing who you are to your customers. What's your return on your ad spend? What are you getting for every dollar that you put in? And then, on the brand side, what is your website traffic looking like? How many people are coming to your site? How many people are searching for your business by name? What is your social engagement looking like? Are people interacting with your brand? All of these are so important to keep the finger on the pulse on, because they're really the health of your brand. Like it's the health of your business that you're getting in terms of that data.
And overall, I mean, we talk about the short-term gains, but overall, this entire thing, whether you're talking about a short-term aspect of your portfolio in pay-per-click search ads, or the longer term, the brand, those foundations, it's all actually a long-term game. In other words, you're really, the strategy is like, okay, here's where we're at today, and here's where we want to go, and then fitting an overall strategy that's orienting towards, your 1, your 3, and your 5-year plan. And if you have those things figured out, with the right agency, you should be able to move the ball forward and continue down that path and look back over your shoulder as time goes on and look at all the ground that you've covered just simply by having a good overall strategy and approach.
Absolutely. And, I think about the customers that we've worked with over time, over years, and seeing how they evolve in this mix of brand versus performance marketing. We in our work with our customers, you kind of have to see where you are on the map against those goals that you have, and knowing where you are and what's going to serve you best at that time. Because I think a lot of times people can think about marketing and they think about these big, sexy brand campaigns that are like, video and like really creative heavy, and those can be super effective and super fun and do a really good job for your brand, but you may not be there yet. You may need to dial in on some of the more foundational infrastructure marketing aspects that will set you up for that campaign to be successful and to do what you want it to do. So, there are some of the more, not like dry, like I find them fascinating, but some of the more like basic fundamental marketing aspects in your advertising, in your search, like how are we setting up the infrastructure for you such that your campaigns will actually be successful. And some of those more big splashy brand campaigns will do the job they're intended on doing because you have the right mix of advertising and marketing for where you're at in your company's growth. If that, resonates for you, Lance. That's just something that I've been thinking about for our customers.
Yeah, that is so good. And I'm so appreciative of your thoughts around these subjects and just the job you do with our customers in terms of being so thoughtful and being able to carry them on this journey, and along with the rest of our team. But it really does make a difference as you're diving into these details. It does make a difference. And we work with a ton of companies that show up without any direction whatsoever and just haven't worked with people that are thinking about these things. And you look at that transformation, it's actually pretty remarkable. And it's, fortunately, and the fun side of this business is you get to watch companies grow. And as a result of, their existing awesomeness, and then the focus that is being brought and the intentionality in, in developing a marketing program, whether it's on the brand side or the performance side, that really is aimed with pinpoint accuracy towards their long-term goals. So thank you so much for everything that you do for us, and obviously the content here today. We're really appreciative of it.
Thanks, Lance.
And if you found this episode valuable, please subscribe and leave a review. Your support helps us continue to bring actionable marketing strategies to service businesses around the country. And if you have any questions, feel free to email the show at serviceimpact@outsidecommunications.com. We'll see you next time